Gentlemen, let's broaden our minds.
The truth shall set you free.
You can't handle the truth.
We came, we saw, we kicked its ass.
That's not how the Force works. Oh, really? You're cold?
I'm gonna make him an offer again.
I'd buy that for $1.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I break your concentration?
Hasta la vista, baby.
I don't have friends. I got family.
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
I can do this all day.
Yeah, I know.
Hello and welcome to the Creative Control podcast. I'm your host, Ken Akbler, and thank you for joining us for episode 14. This week, we're going to discuss the ThunderCats movie, what we would do with it, and who would we cast. Joining me for today's show from the Creative Control team, we have Sasha, Neil, and Alex. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you. Thank you.
So as I said, today's episode is all about ThunderCats. It was announced by Deadline on the 29th of March that Adam Wingard, director of Godzilla vs. Kong, would be taking on the big screen version of the hugely popular 80s cartoon. Its original run was from 1985 to 1989. That's when I fell in love with it. I was like eight years old by the time it finished. Then in 2011, we got a reboot from Cartoon Network, but it was cancelled after one series and 26 episodes. And that was actually a really good series. I was really disappointed that got cancelled. And then in 2020, we got the abomination ThunderCats Roar, and we're not even going to talk about that. Then back in 2008, there was this really popular fan-made trailer done by someone who had Brad Pitt as Lion-O, Vin Diesel as Panthro, Hugh Jackman, and stuff like that. And it kind of did the rounds, and it kind of gave an idea of what it might look as like a live action. But it was announced that this is not going to be a live action. It's going to be a hybrid of CGI and animation, and it's going to actually use the animated series, the original one from the 80s, as a jumping off point. So before I kind of wanted to go into a little bit, Deadline actually did an exclusive interview with the director, and I was always super cautious about a ThunderCats movie and what it might look like, and the aesthetics of it all. And after seeing Cats come out like last year, I was like, oh my god, this is what it could look like. So I just kind of want to touch on some of the interview stuff that Wingard actually spoke about, and it kind of sets it up. So Wingard said, ThunderCats is a dream project for me. When I was in high school, I was obsessed with it. You'd think at that point I was too old, that my years of obsession with ThunderCats would have been when I was 6 years old. My real obsession with ThunderCats came in high school, the pinnacle of deciding I wanted to be a filmmaker and pushing in that direction. I actually spent most of my 10th grade year, I completely blew it. I didn't pay attention in school, made terrible grades. And the reason? I was writing ThunderCats screenplay through my entire 10th grade year, and I was handwriting it. The screenplay itself ended up being 272 pages long. I still have it. It's one of those things where I would carry on in my notebooks and talk about it. I didn't even realize the kids in my class were making fun of me as they would question me about my ThunderCats screenplay. It was only one day my friends asked me, and I was excitedly telling him all the things about my ThunderCats screenplay. And I heard him turn around to say some of the girls in the class, these were girls I had crushes on, he's making fun of me for writing ThunderCats because it was ridiculous. But that was the first moment where I thought that maybe I would not be able to make a ThunderCats movie. I thought, am I crazy for obsessing over this? Is it something that I can do? As it turns out, when you're a kid in Alabama with no resources or connections to filmmaking, it is impossible to make a ThunderCats movie. But flash forward 20 years later, and here we are. I'm in a place where Godzilla vs. Kong has gone down really well with Warner Bros. And they love the movie. As we were wrapping it, I heard there was a ThunderCats script out there, and it happened to be set up with some of my producers on Death Note. I asked them, I want to rewrite the script with my friend Simon Barrett. This is a huge passion thing for me. Nobody on this planet knows or has thought about ThunderCats as much as I have. They gave me the reins. I saw there's an opportunity to do a new type of fantasy sci-fi spectacle film that people have never seen before. It's got a rich mythology. The characters are fantastic. The colors. I want to do ThunderCats film that takes you back to the 80s aesthetic. I don't want to reinvent the way they look. I want them to look like ThunderCats. I don't want to do it in live action either. I don't want it to look like cats. I don't want those kind of issues. It's like no disrespect to the director. I want to do a movie you've never seen before, a hybrid CGI film and add a hyper real look and somehow bridges the gap between cartoon and CGI. That's the starting point. And Simon Barrett and I are getting to the script now. So that to me was hugely positive. I was like, this is a super fan. He gets it. He understands the characters. He understands the world that they built in those animated series. Sasha and I spoke about it like after it was announced, and Sasha said, I want to see it like Avatar, and I'm going to let him talk about a little bit more about that. And I was like, that's genius. That's exactly how it should be. So bearing in mind, what he said, let's each get your thoughts on the movie and how they think they're going to set it up, and are they making the right choices by going the CG animation route, or actually would you like to have seen a live action version of it, a bit more fantasy, maybe like Lord of the Rings style, or with creatures and stuff like that. So Sasha, I'm going to start with you. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, live action, no. Well, hybrid. When I say hybrid, as in the way Avatar was filmed, the way the Jungle Book was filmed, that is the way to go. That way, you mocap everything. Everything looks seamless rather than composited, where you get like fake. Do you know what I mean? Like Avatar is flawless. The Jungle Book is flawless in its CG because you're not taking something live and you're not putting it against green screen and. Yeah. It's already in the CG environment, so and the look of it would look hyper real anyway, judging by those films. And if there was anything that you filmed live action, you can augment pretty easily in CGI, making it seamless. Also, it's a cost-effective way because that technology's only gotten cheaper with stuff like Lion King and Jungle Book being made and stuff. And ThunderCats would be a really good IP to push that technology further. And depending on what James Cameron's done with it on these 5 Avatar films, that's only going to bring down the costs to make it more cost effective to do more epic shit with the ThunderCats IP. So that's how I would film a ThunderCats film aesthetically. In terms of like the idea I had before this guy came out with his idea, which sounds amazing, by the way, because he's having the cojones to go, no, our jumping off point is the OG show. That's some big balls there, and I wasn't even going to go there. But I'm going to stay true with what I was going to do with how I thought I would go about it. I was really impressed with the not ThunderCats Roar, the reboot before that, 2011
cartoon.
2011 reboot. Yeah, that's how you reboot ThunderCats as a film, and that was a cartoon. I mean, I like the idea that. Okay, here's the thing. I always felt a bit weird about that. He was a 14-year-old kid, and then all of a sudden he grows, and then fucking Chitara's checking him out and stuff. And you know what I mean? It works for an 80s cartoon, not so much in a film, but you know what I mean? And you guys know exactly what I'm on about there.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I felt what they did really right in that reboot mark. The 0.20 version was that they had the characters right. They pulled enough of homage as well to stuff that had gone before. I'd do the same thing. For example, for the King, I would get the original OG Lino to reprise that role and voice him. I'd use that as my stepping off point. I tried to adapt kind of that first season kind of thing as a movie. Maybe not all of it, because obviously there was like filler episodes and shit like that, but I definitely do the first 20 minutes, the fall of Thundera as a kingdom. I like the whole fact that, like, technology is like this mythical shit and stuff. I like the fact that Momra and Jackalman and all of that were actually lieutenants, and they're actually different races and stuff across the planet of Third Earth, if you know what I mean. And I like that. I was like, you know what? This has made this kind of fantasy, kind of sci-fi, and it still had its outer space links, but that's stuff you could bring into, or a better writer could seed into this. But I think the way they did the groundwork for that show was how you reboot it, keep it contained in a way, and cover more ground for that first film. Definitely have Panthro be like this general guy that's been gone that they bump into in the Thundercat tank later on. And then the first film bad guy should be the lieutenant. You know what I mean? Like Momra's like the emperor. You know what I mean?
So hold him back.
Yeah, so you're holding back. So basically, whoever the lieutenant is in the first movie, was it the Toad guy, or was it Jackalman, or
probably
I can't remember.
Is it Slide?
Yeah.
Slide,
So he would be the big man of the first movie. Obviously, Momra will do his thing like he did, in that thing originally. But obviously, once they did the Fall of Thundera, Momra's, you know what I mean? He's like later on, and you've got Smythe's army and shit. You know what I mean? Like they made him like a general and he had an army and shit. So I'd basically make that, and then by the end of that, the end shot's kind of like that Fellowship of the Ring shot where they're like, no, we must like go confront like fucking Mumra, you know what I mean, like that kind of shit. And they're, you know, the gang's all there, and next film will be Jackalman, and then next film will be that, and then you could probably interconnect stuff where, you know, like there was a ThunderCats movie where they had other like new ThunderCats, like there was like a and there was that guy that looked like Tigra. Sorry,
Pumra.
Yeah. And maybe they join up with those guys and stuff, you know what I mean? Like, so you could open this up like so much as a trilogy and do it on a level of like Lord of the Rings and shit.
I see your point, because, you know, the original cartoon, it was very much, they left a dying planet, and they were obviously cryogenically frozen, and something happened with the pods or something like that, and
Lino's pod dust.
And so obviously his body aged, but obviously the mentality didn't. And something we just spoke about before the podcast started, you know, Alex said, you know, it's kind of touched on in the first few episodes, but then it was kind of just forgotten about, and he was just like, yeah, he's just Lino now, that's it, just crack on. You know, so it didn't really play into that much later in the series. But yeah, with the new reboot cartoon, it was this whole world. He was the son of a king. Tiger was his brother, and
the step brother, and that was really cool. I love that dynamic because it enriched the characters. And that was the thing. Lino, Tigra, and Chitara were our young leads. They're our young players. You know what I mean? And everyone else are kind of like, you know, Jagger's the guide, Panthro's the warrior. You know what I mean? It's kind of like they're, you know, this misfit crew kind of thing. And then you got Wily Kit and Wily Cat, who aren't actually part of the crew, but they end up their stories intertwine, and I really like that. You know what I mean? And Snarf not being, you know what, that took a bit of a while, because I never had a problem with Snarf the first time round, but that's probably nostalgia with me. So jury's out on whether I make him talk and shit. But in terms of the cast, I'd definitely.
We'll come back to the casting.
Shall we come back? Okay, cool. You guys go ahead.
Yeah.
Then.
So, Alex, what was your thoughts on the movie? And, you know, do you think it's the right direction, or would you do something different?
Well, scarily, I'm like it's almost as if like me and Satcha are like on exactly the same mental brainwave. As soon as they said like CG sort of animation type thing, I immediately thought, okay, well, if you're going to go hyper real, you've got to go Avatar route, which obviously Satcha already mentioned. And I'm in total agreement. You can actually get the first episode of the original series on Amazon for like 10p. So I just actually rewatched that this afternoon. And the reboot series, which I actually really enjoyed the first time around, is like about £6 or £7 as well. So I've just rewatched like the first couple of episodes of that. I'm in total agreement. I prefer like the reboot version in terms of origin, like updated, the story, the mythology's there. You know, in the original series, you know, you kind of forget, but like literally the start is, okay, they're on the ship. Thundera basically just like Krypton style just blows up straight away. And like, okay, we don't know nothing about.
And Jargo's like piloting the ship, and then he does like an Obi-Wan and like disappears.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and you know, all right, they go in the pods. They don't even actually really suggest that like there's a malfunction with Lino's pod. It's just a voiceover just sort of says, well, you know, although it slows the aging process, some aging does take place. It's like, okay, so no one else ages except Lino. Okay, it moves the story forward, I guess. So I'm with Satch. I completely agree that the reboot series, the mythology was there. I love, same thing, the sort of dynamic of Tigra being like the adoptive older brother. So really, you know, technically would have been in line sort of like for King until obviously Lino's born, and suddenly it's like, okay, well, he's obviously, you know, blood, so therefore he's sort of like sideswiped, and Lino's gonna be the king. Well, I love all that stuff. Again, I don't know if I was subconsciously thinking about this when we was going back to our Masters of the Universe conversation we had. But like, again, the idea of like technology is like a myth. And so like different kingdoms on the planet have different levels of technology and this kind of stuff. So yeah, I'm certainly would aim more towards a reboot personally, although obviously I know the director's saying he wants to go back to the 80s style, so whether they're going to sort of mix and match stuff with the mythology or whatever. But yeah, I'm much more on the reboot from 2011.
Cool.
Personally myself.
Neil, what about yourself?
We are in total agreement with I'm like,
I think this is a first.
Yeah, I'm like, we're literally thinking about it, and I'm like, okay. In my head, I'm like picturing Avatar, and I'm just like, yeah. You can just like, all right, you alter little bits, but it's like, okay. Essentially, when they land on Third Earth, you know, it's jungle. There's jungle terrain. There is caves. There are mountains. All sorts. You got the desert plain. No, man, I'm like, listen. I don't know if James Cameron secretly was like, yeah, you know what? Let me set up ThunderCats for these guys. Let me just make sure the technology is right for them. You know, they'll be like, you know, I'll make 5 Avatar films just to see if there's a ThunderCats.
Yeah, just to get the technology right. Yeah,
right. But yeah.
I'm exactly the same as you guys. I think that is the best way to go for the aesthetic of it. I'm excited that he wants to have it in the same style and the colors of ThunderCats, because that's what really made the cartoon pop at the time. And that theme tune, they got to have the theme tune. And yeah, I'm the same. I wouldn't necessarily use the original cartoon as a jumping off point. You know, those of our age, you know, you're going to know ThunderCats, but you're not going to remember all the characters and all the episodes and the kind of the journey they went on necessarily. So it's not like you can just continue from where it maybe left off, unless they kind of do like a recap at the beginning of like, this is how they've got to Earth, and you know, they're establishing them there. But yeah, I would take the look of the original but use the story of the reboot. And that's kind of how I'd merge the two. So same with you guys. And like Sasha, I agree. I think Mum-Ra needs to be held back. He needs to be someone who's kind of in the shadows. And you know, if you're going to turn this something into a franchise, I would almost see this as, if you look at something like what Marvel did, you could almost make the movies about the villains trying to get artifacts, which is going to help Mum-Ra be reborn or something like that. So they can go on, you know, so he's sending out the guys to go get quests to get this artifact. And obviously ThunderCats are trying to prevent that because they don't want him to become the all-powerful. And, you know, you can have that as a little bit of a theme, maybe running through the movies and stuff like that. So, yeah, I think, like I said, we're all in agreement in terms of what we want. I think we're excited about what the director has planned and, you know, the way he's going to go about it. Hopefully he's going to be given the access to the technology that he wants and the time and the resources, you know, to do this, because, you know, we've never had a big screen version of ThunderCats, you know, and, you know, now you got to get it right. You know, we've had so many other 80s cartoons which have been hit and miss with audiences. You know, I think for the majority, most people really loved the first Transformers, and it kind of went off the rails a little bit. And then really off the rails and came back. And, you know, so, but in the right hands, if you look at something like Bumblebee, that was, I thought, treated so much better in terms of a, you know, Transformer movie, in terms of the characters and the aesthetic and all that kind of stuff. So it is really about the story and, you know, how they're going to treat the mythology like we've spoken about. So, right, well, let's just go into start casting. So what I thought I'd do is I'll go through some of the characters and we'd each give who we would sort of like cast. Now, you could come at it a couple of different ways. So it could be a case of they're going to be CG mocapped, or if you're just kind of going for the voice, you know, depending on which way they go about it. So I've kind of done a little bit of both, and I've kind of maybe given a couple of options for each one. So I think we have to start with a leader, Lino. I've got two, and I went slightly older, but I was trying to get across where if I went sort of like maybe for the more immature side, I might have gone for like Chris Hemsworth. Because he can still be demanding and have that presence if when he needed in battle. Then if I was going more slightly older and more militant, I thought maybe someone like Henry Cavill, because I think he can play the vulnerable side and the aggressive side. So that's who I had for Lino. Neil, who did you have?
I too had Chris Hemsworth.
Right.
But I think what I had, because I think I mentioned before we started the podcast that I was torn, because I said, is it going to be a thing where he starts out young and then turns into the adult Lino?
Yeah.
Or is he just going to maintain his age? And I thought, if he starts out young and then turns into an adult, then I think Chris Hemsworth should be him as an adult. Plain and simple, because he's got, even though he's an adult, he needs the childishness. And it's like, you know, Hemsworth's comedy chops are magical.
Yeah, great.
As the younger Lion-O, because I thought I wanted someone who looked like they could theoretically grow up to look like Chris Hemsworth, but at the same time, if they were gonna stay that age for the entire length, then they look kind of old enough as well. They're not 14 kind of thing. Was Josh Hutcherson? He's in the Hunger Games.
Right, yeah.
He's in a show called Future Man as well. Yeah, him. He was he definitely be the guy.
Okay. If I was going for the younger, I'd probably go for someone with the star power like Tom Holland. If he can show sort of like a kind of vulnerability, but if you've seen Cherry, you know, he can really, you know, be dramatic as well. And, you know, from a mocap point of view, you can make him any size. It's not about the size for a mocap performance. But I think if I was going younger, then that might be my choice. Alex, who did you have for Lino?
I also had Chris Hemsworth on my list. And I was trying to think of like the sort of qualities that I was thinking about for my Lion-O, and for some reason I kept getting like an image of like sort of Superman kind of qualities, and like he's got his moral center, this kind of stuff, which started getting me thinking about Tyler Hoechlin, who's the Superman in the new Superman and Lois show. I'm not sure where around the title is. So he was another possibility, and then thinking about that also then got me thinking about. I didn't watch all of the seasons, but of the Supergirl show, there was the guy that played Jimmy Olsen. I think it's McCard Brooks.
Oh yeah,
Jimmy Olsen in that he's got his very sort of moral center, sort of, you know, fighting for justice, that kind of stuff. And I just kind of thought, I don't know, if you wanted to go, a lesser known name, and you know that he could do something with it. Yeah.
Okay,
so
good
those
shot.
are my three.
Sasha, who do you have?
I don't. I literally don't. If I was doing ThunderCats for Lino, because I said quite clearly which iteration I would have went down, I want a young, unknown cast, kind of like how they casted the Power Rangers.
Okay.
The recent Power Rangers movie, when you looked at that, they cast the best talented actors for the room, because what they did, even though not a lot of people saw it or whatnot, if you did watch Power Rangers, they acted really well with the material they were given. That when Elizabeth Banks came in, she was in the wrong damn movie, you know. She thought she came to do the fucking show, you know. And these kids were like giving the performances of their life, man. And I was just like, wow, how different is this, you know? But I would do that. I would get 3 young leads: Chitara, Tigra, Lino, complete unknowns, probably like a TV, you know, that's done some TV, maybe some movies, you know what I mean, that aren't a big name and stuff. And I'd cast that trio as my leads kind of thing. And I will save the rest of the cast, Wiley Kit and Wiley Cat as well. That would be the same way I'd approach them as well. But for the rest of the cast, people like what's it? Jaga, Momra, Panthro.
You'd go with more names, would you?
I would go with names for those characters.
Cool. All right, we'll come back to those.
Which will come to those characters.
Cool.
But that's what I would do.
Okay, so for Tigra, I had Hugh Jackman or James Marsden. Those are the kind of 2 names that I went for. I thought just if you listen to the voice of Tiger, and like, he is someone with a lot of reason, a lot of like knowledge and thought, and you know, I just thought Jackman could really bring that to it. And you know, he can bring that physicality if you think of the Wolverine, you know. So he was probably my first choice. So Neil, who do you have for Tigra?
I actually had Liam Hemsworth.
Oh, okay. Going to the brothers. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, they're brothers. But the reason being as well is I thought in my head, I was like, what would be better than the dynamic of starting out with a young Lion-O who kind of looks up to the older Tigra, and then, you know, if it is the iteration where he becomes an adult, having it that it's Chris Hemsworth, who is the older brother to Liam Hemsworth. I was like, they'll already have a level of dynamic because they're actually brothers. And I was like, that'll put some magic on a little bit of like, you know, the unspoken rivalry.
Yeah.
Like there's a magic, there's an untapped magic there.
Yeah, I like that. That's really good. That's good. Ah, nice thinking. Gone in depth there. I like it. Alex, who do you have?
So for Tigra, I had two options. I had either Ben Barnes, who was what I'm trying to think. Well, the latest thing I saw him in was obviously the bad guy in the Punisher series, or Luke Evans.
Oh yeah, okay.
I was thinking of similar lines of Neil. Again, going back to that reboot series of the older brother. But in that series, he's very much got sort of a bit of entitlement to him, and his character, he's a bit sort of cocky. And so I just thought those two actors, especially, you know, you've got Evans, just like, you know, sort of Gaston and that sort of over the, you know, not saying that he can be that sort of over the top, but he's got that sort of bravado and that sort of cockiness about him, like entitlement. So I just kind of thought, you might be able to do something quite interesting.
Nice. So for Chitara, I had Margot Robbie or Rosario Dawson. So they were my two picks for them. Margot Robbie, I think, you know, the way that she's just reinvented that Harley Quinn character for the big screen. You know, she is that kind of idol in that, and I just think she could kind of bring something to that role. Rosario Dawson, just what she did with like the Mandalorian and stuff like that, and she's got a great physicality about her. And so I thought, either of those could do a job on that.
She's done some voiceovers. I'm sure she played Wonder Woman in some of the DC.
DC animated. Yeah, exactly. So she's got that. She's got the voice acting chops for it as well. Neil, who'd you have?
Copying my homework, dude. Because I have both of those.
Nice.
But I had a person. I mean, technically, I'll put Rosario Dawson in anything. But no, I did think Margot Robbie, and the third one was Zoe Saldana.
Yeah.
Because I think she's done mocap with Avatar, plus you know, I mean, like Gamora.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be hard to go wrong.
Yeah, no, it's a really good shout. Yeah, definitely. Alex, who do you have?
Olivia Wilde for me.
Oh, yeah, nice.
I don't know why. It's just the only choice I had. I didn't have any other options.
Okay, I like that. Good shout. All right, we'll jump and do a couple of the other ones, which Sasha's going to do the unknown. These two I went more slightly unknown. I went for Wiley Kit. I went for Abraham Attar. He's not that well known, but he's I think he's in Beast of No Nation. I'm gonna get that right. Hang on.
Oh wait, is he? No, he's not the kid with the long hair, is he?
Beast of No Nation. Yeah, so he was the young boy in Beast of No Nation. So he's who I went for because I thought he was phenomenal in that. He's young. He's only like 19 years old, but he could play even younger if he needed to be, especially when it comes to the mocap and the voice acting. So I thought he'd be great. And then for Wiley Cat, I went for Joey King. She's an up and coming actress. She was in probably the most noted thing that she's probably done is The Act. This small mini series where she plays the daughter of someone who is being told that she's ill when she's not. Yeah, exactly. I thought it was a fantastic series. I just really like about her. I think she's in a few movies like The Kissing Booth and stuff like that. So, but I just thought she could bring some real lightheartedness to that role as well. So, and we were talking about Snarf earlier. Alan Tudyk. I don't think there could be anybody else for that. I mean, that's just nailed on. So that's who I had for those three characters. Neil, who do you have?
I had, let me see. All right, so for, who did I have? I had, for Wiley Kit, I had Gaten Matarazzo, Dustin from Stranger Things.
Ah, yes, okay.
Right. And for Wiley Kit, I had Sophia Lillis, who's Bev in It.
Oh yeah, good shout.
Yeah.
Solid.
And
Solid.
Snarf, I had it because I think in the original show, I don't know. It's like when I watch it, I don't feel any way. But when I think of it, Snarf seems annoying.
Yeah.
And I was like, I need something that's not going to be annoying. And when I think about it now, Alan Tudyk is a better option than my option, but I had my option, so I got to go with it.
Yeah.
Was Peter Dinklage.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Because I thought I'd want to
Hand of the King.
I want to change Snarf a bit.
Yeah.
I'd want him to be like have a bit more of a dry sense of humor, because the way he was like, oh, nobody ever cares about Snarf.
Yeah.
I just be like I can just imagine like the way he is as Tyrion.
Yeah.
That I know every
Snarf as Tyrion, just there with his alcohol, like pissed and just like, you're fucking
that's
up.
What I'm
Yeah, you don't know what you're doing. Everyone's gonna die. That'd be amazing.
Yeah.
I drink and I know things.
That's exactly what I want. I drink and I know.
I drink milk and I know things. Awesome. Alex, who'd you have?
Right, for Wily Kit and Wily Cat, I actually went down a Stranger Things route. So I had Millie Bobby Brown and Caleb McLaughlin, who was Lucas.
Yeah, no, good shouts. Millie Bobby Brown, I think she was going to be my second choice for Wily Cat, definitely. Snarf, any thoughts?
Did not cast because I'm pretty sure in the reboot he doesn't talk, so that was my review.
Yeah, I think Sasha's kind of on that line. Like, I'm not sure I want him talking.
Yeah, I'm not. You know what it is? It's like I'm not against him talking because I. But the thing is, it's hard to gauge whether it's my nostalgia telling me that it was a bad idea.
Yeah.
Because obviously other people felt maybe you shouldn't have talked. You know what I mean? But you know, it worked really well in that reboot where he didn't talk and just did his thing. You know what I mean? So maybe that would be the way to go. I've not really put thought into who would play him, etc. I'd get if I was to do it, I'd get the original voice actor back. To be fair, so
yeah, fair enough.
Just like Lino's dad, original Lino, OG Lino. There's no one else.
You say that.
For me, there's no one else.
Yeah. So if we were thinking about, so we can touch on that because depending on which incarnation we go. On the original cartoon, we had Jaga. So he was like this mentor, warrior, master of the Thundercats kind of thing. So for me, my initial first choice was the go-to, which would be Liam Neeson. He just mentors everyone. But then my second one was maybe Ian McKellen. So it was going to be one of those two for me. Because, you know, he's not going to be hanging around that long, I think, in the movie if he is in it. Or if he's in it at all, or maybe they use him as like this like Force Ghost type thing in the movie. So those are the two I had. Sasha, what about Jaga? Did you have anybody in mind for him?
Yeah, you stole my top two choices.
Nice.
But I also had a few more. I had Pierce Brosnan, I had Sean Bean, and then that's all the token people that advise people and end up dead in a movie gone. So
I was gonna say Sean Bean.
yeah.
So
And Jagger does die. He does die.
Yeah.
So fuck it, it's Sean Bean then. Just so that he can get another death scene for his
Alex, who did you have, Jaga?
So Liam Neeson was on my list as well. And I had another Ian, but I had Ian McShane.
Ooh,
I've only watched the first season of American Gods, but he's like, I think he plays Zeus in that. It's been a long time since I watched it.
Odin.
And it's Odin, yeah. And so I don't know, I just kind of thought, he could do something a little bit different.
Nice. I should have said Sir Ian McKellen. And Neil, who do you have?
I went totally different, Wes. I had three choices. I had Mark Strong.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Right. I had Sam Neill.
Oh, I like that. Yeah.
Right. And Mark Hamill.
Ooh.
Okay. I've got Mark Hamill for somebody else.
I know who you got Mark Hamill for.
We'll see. We'll
I
see.
was flirting with that idea too.
Okay. So if we went slightly different then, and we had the sort of like ThunderCats Lion-O's father in it instead. I think is it Claudius? I think.
Yeah, Claudius. Yeah.
So who would you have as Claudius? If you maybe it might be replace the other one for the other one, so you might have Liam Neeson and then Ian McKellen like playing respective roles, or do you have anybody else in mind for Claudius at all?
OG Lino, man. OG Lino.
Is he alive?
Yeah, he did the reboot cartoon.
Oh, did he? Oh, okay. Fair enough.
He did and he does a lot of animation still. So, yeah, fucking get him as the voice. That's a good tip to the hat to the fans and stuff. And that way you can have whenever Lino goes ThunderCats ho, you can like the rebooted cartoon when the actor says it, you hear his father's voice as well, and in the sound mix. And then we've got that little throwback throughout the fucking movie. I'm in. But that would be my sheer reason for doing so. I mean, obviously there are better actors, actual actors that could make that a pivot, like a pivotal role. But the fanboy in me just overtook everything with that role. So unfortunately, I'll just nod and agree to all your choices, because I'm pretty sure they're probably people I would have picked anyway, because it looks like we're all on the same wavelength regardless here, because everything's been kind of similar except for me going unknowns for the trio.
So Larry Kenny was the original voice actor. He also did Jackalman in the series as well. But you're right. He actually did Claudius in the reboot. And he was actually did some voices. He did, and then he upped it again to Jaga in ThunderCats Roar. So he's played all the incarnations basically. Lido, his father, and Jaga. But okay, that's cool. So that's kind of the heroes. Did you guys have any other of the hero side that I know there's a few other characters who you may have done like Pumra.
Oh, I want to hear Alex's Claudius, man.
Oh my Claudius.
He's been itching to go, man.
No. For me, like, you would need a king, right? The only voice that I always cut you for something of that sort of gravitas is Keith David.
Nice.
Did the voice of Spawn in the Spawn animated.
Oh,
really knows stuff. But it's just whenever that voice just always, man, it's just like
nice. Neil, did you have anyone for Claudius?
I didn't, but when I think about it more, I'd probably say Liam Neeson probably be the guy.
Yeah, I might have Liam Neeson as him, and then I'll have Ian McKellen as Jaga. So any more on the hero side? Did you guys have anybody else?
I was thinking, have you guys done Panthro?
We still haven't done Panthro yet. Of course, yeah. So Panthro, two easy ones for me. I mean, there's a couple of others, but I've kind of used them for different characters. So Panthro, I went quite classic with the Vin Diesel or Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. They're my top two for Panthro. They'll bring the star power to the series. Either way, Neil, who'd you have?
I had a list of 4, but I took one out, and Vin Diesel was the one that came out. Right. So it was The Rock.
Yeah.
So Dwayne Johnson. I also had Dave Bautista.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Or Terry Crews.
Terry Crews. Yeah, he almost made my cut as well. Yeah, it's a good shout. I like that. Sasha, who do you have for Panthro?
For Panthro, I too had Vin Diesel as my number one choice. Ving Rhames was another one. Not for the physicality for the role for the mocap, but more for the voice. Yeah. Same with Dennis Haybert from 24.
Yeah.
And was there anyone else? No, that was it. I didn't think Dwayne Johnson because I just felt Vin Diesel to be honest, for me it's Vin Diesel. But yeah.
Got the voice that is needed for
yeah, he has.
He's in that trailer, man.
He's in the trailer.
We've been wanting him since 2008, damn it.
Yeah.
Which is why, he was on my list. But a couple out of left field, I thought Wesley Snipes.
Nice.
I'm thinking Panthro, like I don't know. Wesley Snipes just came to mind for some reason. Michael Jai White.
Yes.
Definitely.
Or probably my top one is Jaemon Hunsu, he's been in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh yes.
Again, he's just got one of those sort of distinctive voices. And I just,
yeah. I think with this film like this, especially if it's going to be mocap, you want to get the balance of the star power and the voice, don't you? Because it's the names which are going to bring it on a marquee, which are going to get people through the doors and stuff like that. So Michael J. White, he was going to be one of my choices where I'm like, is that enough to bring people in? No, Vin Diesel, The Rock is going to get me more money if I'm making my movie. Do you know what I mean? So, but yeah, totally get where you're coming with that, because I think the presence and again the voice would have been spot on. Okay, so I think we're done with the heroes, aren't we? So let's jump to the villains. Let's start with the big bad, Mum-Ra. This was tough for me because I had some great voice actors, but I preferred what I think they would sound like as other characters. And Mum-Ra, I think, was quite a challenge for me. So if he was going to be sort of like, you know, complete CGI and no mocap, I actually might just go Frank Weller and just have that voice for Mum-Ra there. Otherwise, I was going to go for either Jeremy Irons, you know, based on his take on like Scar, and you know he can play bad, or William Dafoe. I thought he could be quite eccentric in that role, kind of thing. So that's what I had for Mum-Ra. So, guys, thoughts on who do you have?
Okay, so the guy I had originally, way back in the day, when way back in the day, he's passed, by the way, so we can't have him. But I'm going to put him out there. I always wanted Christopher Lee.
Yeah.
He was like my number one guy, man. Otherwise, I'd say Ian McKellen trying to do a Christopher Lee would be interesting. Going, you know, get a Timothy Dalton because he's kind of dark. A Daniel Craig as well, kind of thing. Like having him completely go nuts with that role, kind of thing. Or the guy that played Zod. What's his name? Michael Shannon.
Oh, that's a really good shout. Yeah.
So, you know, you just want someone that can bring in that intense, you know, that intensity to that kind of, because Mum-Ra shouts a lot. You know what I mean? He shouts a lot. Yeah. You know what I mean? And, you know, to be quite honest, you're right. It is a tough one because you're looking for a particular voice as well.
Yeah, you are.
So that's why I went with British guys kind of thing, doing the typical British bad guy thing. But Christopher Lee just had that voice, you know what I mean? You can, and he did a lot of evil parts, so I didn't have to say. The other guy, I wouldn't have, no, actually, no, maybe not that guy, but but otherwise, yeah, I think you nailed it with Frank Weller. Sorry, Frank Walker. So, yeah, guys, and anyone else got any ideas?
Yeah, I'm going to Neil's go-to guy of Sholto Copley for Mum-Ra.
Sure.
Oh, you know what? It's wild. He's not on my list.
He's always your bad guy, Neil.
He's in it, but not as Mum-Ra. Not Mum-Ra.
I was gonna say it had to come up at some point.
Of course. The man can do anything. But no, mine was Andy Serkis.
Okay.
Yeah,
he was very close, but I picked him for somebody else.
Yeah, I'm going for somebody else.
So I thought Andy Serkis would be my Mum-Ra because I feel like he can play the kind of decrepit old Mum-Ra, and then I mean, like the dream. Obviously, if we had full creative control, the dream is when he turns into, you know, Mum-Ra final form. When he turns into that, then I'll just be like, slap some mocap on the Rock.
Yeah.
Like, we ain't gonna find nobody that big who can move like the Rock. So I like make that your physical
form.
Mum-Ra
Yeah.
In form. But I'm like, nah, Andy Serkis definitely.
Yeah, he was very, very close to my choice because I kind of thought a little bit about Star Wars and what he did with where his name is Snoke. Because I've tried to figure out.
Because you know what I was thinking of actually, right? I was actually thinking of him in Planet of the Apes.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, thinking of him in Planet of the Apes, right? Because he has to kind of speak in that
gruff tone.
Yeah, gruff tone. I was like, Yeah, that's Mumra.
Nice.
Fruit, bro.
Nice. So talking about Andy Serkis, he was my pick for Slythe.
Same.
Yeah.
Same.
So I just thought the movement, the speech, because he is so good at sort of like bringing to life these characters. Like you said with Planet of the Apes, how we do with the apes, he could bring in that lizard, you know, kind of feel and touch to it. And I was just like, yeah, I couldn't think of anybody else, and that's why if I couldn't think of anybody else for Slythe, so he had to stay it, because otherwise I would have picked him for Mumra. So he was my. So Sasha, you had the same. And
Yeah, I had the same.
Yeah, same, mate. Yeah.
All right. So who do you have for Slythe? Come on, rock our world now.
I am gonna rock your
Charlton
world.
Copley.
No, it's not. Do you know who I actually had? Danny McBride.
Danny McBride. Wow.
I'm not fucking kidding. Danny McBride. I got it listed here, written down in front of me. I was like, Slythe, Lizard, Danny McBride.
See, you say your name and I can see it. You know, it's like that's really interesting. The thing is, I can't see Danny McBride any other thing than Danny McBride. Do you know what I mean? He just seems to.
You know what it is?
I think the whole time.
I'm thinking of Danny McBride, and I'm thinking of him in This Is the End.
Yes.
But at the same time, I'm remembering his voice because he played like the leader of the wolves in Kung Fu Panda 2.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm remembering his voice separated from his body, and I'm remembering him as just an asshole in This Is the End.
All right.
I'm like, yeah. You're my lizard, bro.
I don't think I've ever been more surprised with the casting that we've done since. So that's blown me away. Okay, so Jackalman, he was my Mark Hamill. So I had Mark Hamill down as Jackalman. I just thought with the kind of characters he's played with, like Joker and Hobgoblin and all that kind of stuff, he could deliver that really well. Andy Serkis was close, but I was just like, he's done the ape thing. So, but yeah, Mark Hamill was my Jackalman. Sasha, who'd you have?
Yeah, Mark Hamill, man. I had the same.
Nice, nice.
I had the same.
Sasha and I could have made this movie, man. We're just like,
Yeah.
Alex, who'd you have?
Same. For the same
Oh,
reason.
damn.
Oh, damn.
You just kind of think that sort of hobgoblin-y kind of voice, and yeah, it was just
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, that's kind of I went that hobgoblin-y kind of, and then just transition. This is just too easy. Neil, who'd you have?
Sharpo. That's where I'd stick
There it is.
Sharpo.
Okay, there it is.
You knew he was coming. You knew he was
I
coming.
knew he was doing. I was doing. Okay, so who else have we got? What about Vulture Man? Did any of you have Vulture Man?
No, I had. I can't remember his name.
Give me a second, guys.
So Vulture Man, I had. I just went something slightly different. Who's a talented voice actor? Hank Azaria. Does hundreds, like 20, 30 different voices on The Simpsons or whatever it is. And I just was like, yeah, actually, I would just like to throw him in there and just, let him have at it kind of thing. So yeah, Hank Azaria was that. The other one I cast was, is it Monkeyan? Monkeyan?
Yes, he's the one.
Yeah. So for him, I went Winston Duke from Black Panther.
M'Baku.
Yeah. So that's all I had for him. Who'd you guys cast?
I kind of had that one's weird because I've listed the character, but I haven't listed the actor.
Okay.
And now I think, who did I have in my head?
I'll get Green Goblin himself, Willem Dafoe.
Yeah, nice. Okay. I can see that. Alex, did you have anyone for Monkeyan?
I had Ron Perlman for me.
Oh, yeah. Okay. That's good. That's a good shout.
Once upon a time, Ron Perlman would have been my Panther.
Ooh, interesting.
I can see that. Yeah.
Interesting. So the last one I cast.
Well, hang on. It's mocap, so he could still be your Panther.
He could still be.
He could still be.
Nah.
Age is not a thing.
No, it's not. It's not age. It's just there are people better suited to the role.
Fair enough. Yeah.
So the other one that I had, and this is a character that really stuck out with me in the cartoon because I just thought he was such a badass, was Groon the Destroyer. And he's actually who I'd have as the big bad in the first movie. So I'd have Groon the Destroyer rather than any of the others. For him, I had Idris Elba.
Isn't Groon one of the... He's a cat, right?
Yeah. Yeah, he's like the cat with the one
The
tooth.
reboot, he
He's
double
just like-
crosses him.
Yeah.
Yeah, and had Idris Elba for that. I just thought he could be a big bad. He's not like with Shere Khan and stuff like that. And you know, he played the bad of like Hobbs and Shaw, Fast and Furious and stuff like that. And yeah, I think he could bring some real gravitas to that role. So, did any of you have anybody for Groon the Destroyer?
Yeah, I would go with who they got for the reboot, which was Clancy Brown.
Oh, right, yeah.
Tons and tons of voiceover work, as well as obviously on-screen stuff. But again, he's just got one of those voices, and yeah, I think he did a pretty fantastic job.
Really,
in the reboot.
really good choice.
Yeah, just keep.
So those are all the characters I'd cast. Have you guys got any other characters that you kind of thought about and cast?
Oh, back to Groon, I would have picked Batista.
Oh, but okay, yeah. Nice. Yeah. That's a good shout. Definitely bring the physicality and the gruffness to that role. So anybody else? Have you guys thought of anybody else to cast, or was that kind of thing we've covered all the majors?
Yeah.
Well, it's really interesting that we had so many similarities, like first and second choices and stuff like that. It's maybe we've just been hanging around each other too long. I don't know.
No, I think what it is certain people. I think because like, you know, in my opinion, the four of us we all had our formative years growing up with Thundercats.
Yes.
And we're taking that, you know, as Sasha said, we're taking that nostalgic memory of that show. But it's gone through the tunnel of being people who could look at the remake with I want to say more mature eyes.
Yeah.
Because we remember the original, so we saw the remake and we saw, oh, this is what you've done with that. This is what you've done with that. And I think going through that particular tunnel has led us to the thing of, okay, so we need characters with depth, but with humor, with a certain gravitas to their voice and their personality and their aura. And I think when you go through that kind of tunnel, you come out the other side, and that's why most of our castings is the same.
Yeah, no, it's a really good shout. I think our casting is going to cost Warner Brothers a hell of a lot of money. So they're going to need a big budget for this movie. Unless they go with Sasha. So if they go with some unknowns and then build the cast around it, they'll be good. They'll be like, actually, we're going to go with Sasha. We'll save some bucks. We'll save some bucks here. We've got to spend it on the technology.
They owe the world right now.
Yeah.
You're in the world's debt.
Right. So we're gonna send this out to the director Adam Wingard, and he can take all our ideas and adjust his script accordingly. So that's it for today's episode. So thank you very much for listening, guys. Where can we catch you on social media, Neil?
You can find me on the Neil Coppin on Instagram.
And Sasha?
Sashman3 on Twitter.
And Alex?
At Lex_Damon on Instagram.
Awesome. And you can find me on Twitter at Kenan Talks Film. Same for Instagram as well. You can catch all our episodes on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, Stitcher, SoundCloud. Basically, we're everywhere. Anywhere you can find a podcast, we're there. Please leave a comment. Let us know what you thought. Give us your ideas of who you cast in there. Did we get anything really wrong, or were we spot on? Are you thinking the same as us? And please like, subscribe, share. The fact that if you're still listening to this means you like it, so please share. And that's it. So thank you very much. And until next time, ThunderCats ho!
Peace.
Oh.